Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
And welcome back, everybody. It is that time of the year where lots of new things are happening. Flowers are blooming, trees are getting leaves, and people are purging. We're going to talk about spring cleaning today. How do you do that? Interestingly, providing us with the information is somebody that doesn't normally do spring cleaning as a service. I'm sure she does it in her own domain, but she is the woman behind the Luxury Look, and that's a fantastic award-winning interior design company. And she got her finger on everything, the pulse of it all. Kristine Vowles joins us back again on the program. How are you doing today?
I'm great. It went from hot to cold here, so Arizona doesn't know whether or not we're in spring or summer or winter. It just can't make up its mind.
I didn't expect to hear that, hot to cold. So what are we talking about here? Temperature.
So 2 days ago, we were 90s. Today, we're in the 60s.
Mother Nature needs a Valium or something.
I don't know how the flowers know whether or not they're blooming or staying asleep. I mean,
wow. But it is spring, and many of us have an eye on just cleaning things up. I don't even know where to begin. Like in my mind, I've got spring cleaning projects that need to get done, but I'm not sure how to attack them and all of this. So where should we begin?
well, I have a list that I can share from my computer screen. Sometimes it's really good to start with a list. And also I suggest starting in one area. If you start doing it all, like having all the kids throw all their stuff out of the room, you do the bathrooms, you do the closets all at one time, it's going to feel so overwhelming, and it will have created a bigger problem for you versus just, carve out one room at a time and getting it done. So we can do a garage all at one time, So I have cleaning up the living room and cleaning up the kitchen, and then I also have bedrooms and then other things to do to continue maintaining it throughout the year, so it's not such a big job in spring. But basically, like in the living room, you could tidy it up. You can put things back where they belong. Sometimes, in the wintertime when we've got the blankets out and all the books and things we like to read and curl up with, and movies and games and things that we tend to do when we're at home and it's cold outside, just to start putting all that back, donating all unused and unwanted books, DVDs, and CDs. If you've gone 2 winters and you haven't touched the games, or the kids haven't, or there's just books that you've already read, you won't read again, it's a good time to purge those things.
Those are things that are hard to let go of, though. I got to be honest with you. I have a bookcase. I'm not saying this is right, but books that I've saved, and I'm not a vivacious reader, but I'm into graphics and things like that. But I have stuff on my shelves from like the 90s, if not before.
The shelves behind me are filled the same. I don't tend to purge my my books, my personal development books. They don't get purged. But our grandkids have gotten to the age now to where, they don't care when they never go to the closet. I have this closet that's all for them.
Yep.
When they come now, they don't hit the closet. So I'm like, okay. Do I really need to keep all that stuff? I mean, I got 50 DVDs in there, and I've got, I don't know, 100 books in there, and boxes of toys, and they're just not at that age anymore. So I could literally unload that entire closet. But I know the day I do, that's when someone's going to come and open up the closet.
And they're going to say, where's the insert name of game or whatever
Where's my
it would
stuff?
be? There was a point where I had so many CDs. This is going back years. And I spent an entire weekend with every PC in my house, and I burned them to just digital files. And then I got rid of it was hard to part with them because you do have the album art, not the same as when it was True Records, but I purged it, saved a lot of space. I mean, obviously now everything you stream, I haven't touched you know, a CD or even an audio file. It's just everything
No.
streamed. But I wanted to make sure I save them for some reason. So I mean, it's just another way if you dedicate the time just to claim that space that really was going
Mhm.
to waste.
Right. Well, you could find a way to display your CDs. Like I have all my
Mm.
CDs from the 80s, and I really don't have anything I can play it on, but I don't know that I can let them go.
Well,
So, I'm talking, but I don't necessarily do that part.
that's a really interesting point you bring up because when I was moving 2 years ago, I had lots of albums, records, and had to get rid of them. And I was moving in a rush. It was like, things actually sped up in terms of, the sale and then moving someplace else. So I took the crates of records. It hurt. I'm a DJ. It hurt. Put them by the curb. And I
No.
remember driving home one day, and there's my neighbors walking down the streets with the albums. There's Fleetwood Mac, there's Journey, and they're like, "Hey, thank you so much."
No.
But
Oh,
but the plus side of this is my daughter, who at the time was around 13, she picked up some albums. She doesn't even know what the artists are. From Bob Marley to just the band Yes and all that.
yeah.
She has them on her wall, the art, and then next to them has the actual record and took a
Oh.
screw gun and just right through the middle. And I brought this up because of what you just said. You display the CDs. She made them into art. So I never thought of it that way. It's kind of cool.
Mhm. I have a client that he has a collection of Nikes.
Mm,
They've never been worn, but every kind of fancy Nike you can think of. And we have one whole entire wall
wow.
with clear containers of him showcasing all the cool Nike swoosh.
Yeah. There's,
So,
you know what?
yeah,
There's value in it in some regard, whether it's
yeah,
monetary or you have personal value in it and you
yeah.
want to display it. I got a friend who has guitars. He doesn't really play anymore, but you walk in his music room, there's guitars all over the wall.
Yeah,
It
that would
looks
be
like
great.
art. Yeah, it's cool.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yep. That's awesome.
So where do we pick up? We're in the living
So
room or no?
cleaning up, like wash all your cushions and pillows,
Hmm.
add extra stuffing if needed. We've actually done that. Went into client's house and, really expensive sofa, but it just seemed to be flat after sitting on it.
Mm-hmm.
So we took it to an upholster place, and man, they just made those things look brand new and brought them back in, and he is super happy with that.
Wow.
Um, And then wash windows, curtains, blinds, shutters, just kind of give that a clean. Some cases you might need to change out your screens. They get damaged, and that's a
Mm,
good time to do it. Wash all your blankets. I mean, half the time we'll wash our sheets and, maybe our duvet, but not everything. So just shed the beds and get that all cleaned out, and then sweep and vacuum throughout the house, even in places it's hard to get to and under the bed. Um, and then, do a cleanup with your electronics.
mm,
Electronics, because they put out so much energy, they collect a ton of all the particles that are in the air. So when you turn your TV
mm.
back, from the back end, it's filled with stuff. Also, your dryer vents. I saw a video the other day that this person only been in their house for 6 months, and her dryer was just really getting super hot, and she went in there, and the whole entire thing was packed with stuff. So she got a vacuum cleaner and cleaned it all out. Those cause fire. So, those are things we don't think about on a
Right.
regular basis. Um, does your picture frames, the knickknacks, I'm getting to the point where, having been a home stager for so many years in a warehouse that literally I have over 1,000 accessories, I tend to not want to live around a lot of accessories now because, um, you
Has
know,
that turned you into a minimalist?
it's beginning to do so, yes. I like my small vignettes, but I don't need every space to be filled with something like I used to.
Yeah, I see your point, feel your pain. I've tried to scale back, and in my bedroom, which is my favorite room in my place, I've got things on the nightstand, And part of me says, well, just get rid of them or hide them or put them in a drawer. You know, they have emotional value, if you will. But at the same time, oh my gosh, I look at him, it's like, all right, I got to dust. Oh, I got to move that. I
Yes.
got to move that. It's just, I just, if I'm going to dust, I like to go and one swipe and I'm done. But not when you have knickknacks and things,
No.
on shelves and on
Yep.
tables.
Yep.
Hmm.
Exactly. And for those that are lucky enough to have a fireplace, cleaning that out during the springtime is a good time to do that.
Sure.
Um, this might seem extreme, but you can get inexpensive drapes at Target and Home Goods, and just maybe get some fresh spring drapes in there, even if you're just framing the sides of your window, not all the way across, but just to give it a light fill. Even if you
Hmm.
don't have them up during the winter time, it might be nice just to have them for spring, and just a really nice, clear, soft fabric kind of just changes the whole look and space.
Yeah,
Bringing
it's a great point. Let's look at that for a sec because a lot of us don't do that, and we'll do it outside. We put out, outdoor furniture, put the cushions back on and all that, but inside it stays the way it is. So adding just
Mhm.
a little touch of something kind of signifies a change of season. And I've heard a lot of people now changing out artwork. They'll
Yes.
just, replace, let's see, there's a painting here. They have a painting of, fairly similar size where it would fit on the same hook or whatever and
Mhm.
change it out. Do you know a lot of people doing that?
Yes, actually, I do
Hmm.
that a lot. Um, I have seasonal art that I'll change out. Um, Especially when you're changing like the vignettes, like on a sofa table or a console or your coffee table. Um, Also,
Hmm.
along with that, change out your family photos, I mean, that's a good time to
Hmm.
update the photos. And um, I have I'll show you some examples here of, I run through this real quick. So just changing, like right in here, just changing, putting different flowers on a coffee table can completely change everything. Keep the book, keep the candle, but just change the flowers. Totally changes the whole look of the living room.
Seriously. Wow.
Um, and then like here, you can keep everything and just bring in just springy flowers. Just changing out the flowers, and, even bringing in just greenery like this here, you just bring in
Yeah.
these flowers here.
You know what I
It,
saw somebody do recently,
Mhm.
and it made such a difference to give you a grounded, earthy vibe. It was basically a very thin branch from a birch type tree put in a tall standing vase, and that was it. Nothing more. But what a difference it made in a kitchen, by the way. Um,
I like them. I like them on the counter like that.
Yeah, yeah. It's you don't know until you see it. I'm like, that is so simple to do. Personally, I wouldn't do it. I have cats. I know where it's going right away. But for anybody else, I mean, feel like what a great little touch and costs you nothing.
Exactly. I mean, I
Mm.
have a dead tree that they just took out of my front yard, sitting in the backyard. And I told my husband, I said, don't get rid of the tree. And he says, well, I'd like to cut it down and get it out. It's a dead tree. I said, yeah, but the things I can do with that. He's just like, oh my gosh, okay. The branches are yours.
Mm. And you know something, there is, if you do something with it for yourself,
Mhm.
not a client, although that's fine too, but that was our tree and it lives
Mhm.
on in the house in some shape and form.
Yes. Yeah,
Mm.
I love anything about trees. I like
Yeah.
leaves. So like Target is changing all their colors right now. This is their newest line that they've got out. So it's a little soft peachy colors with a little green. So you can even have just a few dishes. This here's Pottery Barn for their spring collection. It's just, same everything, just change out your pillows and maybe a lamp.
Nice.
And then this here's Crate and Barrel. So you can take these big, different colored flowers here and just put them all at one big vase like this here, and then change the entire. So it's like this here.
Yeah, just a little bit. A little
It
bit of
goes a long
thinking.
ways. You
Yeah,
don't even have to change all of this here. You can keep all of this here, just change out the vase.
it makes such a
Change the
big
flowers.
difference.
It just gives it a fresh look. Bringing in nature. So you have your spring flowers and then your tree. I mean, you know, this year's probably, you can make this really cozy for the winter and then open it all up for spring.
Really cool.
So there's, we'll go back up to the list of things to do real quick. Um, so in the kitchens, this is when I really like to wipe down my cabinets. The fronts and the doors, the wash the baseboards, the backsplash, just really give the sink a clean and clean all the appliances. This is really a nice time to do it with bring in fresh herbs. You can have fresh herbs on the windowsill and
Mm.
it has that nice scent. Lavender, lavender's blooming right now. You could bring in lavender and put it in the window. Oregano, basil, those things just really smell great in the house. Um, Throw out all your old food containers and get fresh food containers. Um, I'm really starting to look at really organizing my fridge a little better. I mean, keep
Ooh,
getting
yeah.
containers for your fruit and your vegetables and I'll eat salads more this time of year. So just really kind of making there's some new things coming out that you can create with containers, your own salad bar, and you just pull the whole thing out and fill it all up with the stuff you want for your salad bar, and then open up the container, and it's designed to keep it fresher. And I'm like, man, I could have my own salad bar in there. I could take it to the office. I could take it to the warehouse. I could just,
Whoa.
it's kind of cool.
Yes. I make salads twice a week. I'm going to be honest. I loathe it. It just, I got to take this out, take that out, chop that up, do this, do that. Imagine just doing it all at once, putting it in what the container you're talking about, and then
Mhm.
just opening it up and you'd be done in like a quarter of the time. Amazing.
Right.
Oh, I didn't
It's
even know that
yeah,
existed.
super easy.
Yeah.
It's really
Mm.
cool. So I bought the whole warehouse crew those for Christmas. And they're just like, everyone else, the Christmas gifts we got. And then we got this, and we were like, they didn't anticipate me giving them something so practical. They're like, we thought it'd be like, glam. And they're like, but we absolutely love it. We actually use it every single week. So I'm like, well, they eat half the time they don't get to leave. So I'm like, well, why not just get them something that makes them happy at work?
What a great idea. And
Yeah.
that's a gift that somebody would appreciate and is going to get use out of it and will think of you every time they're making a salad or whatever.
I mean, it's a simple thing, but it makes life a little easier.
Sure.
Um, wiping down all your appliances, scrubbing the sink, like I said, cleansing the garbage disposal, and also it's a good time to wash the inside of your dishwasher. So they have
Hmm.
products that you can put in there, run the water really hot, and it will clean the inside of your dishwasher. People don't think to do that, but all the food gets clogged in there. You got food on your plate, it's got to go somewhere. Sometimes it doesn't necessarily leave the dishwasher, it stays, it gets clogged.
That's funny because we assume it's getting cleaned every time you clean dishes.
No, inside track of the door and everything too. I like to go in there and I take a toothbrush all the way around it. And I'm not hardcore. I don't do it like I used to do it. Now I just do it every now and then.
Hmm.
And then we do so doing that once a year is really, really nice. And then you know, let's see here. Oh, um, I'm getting into really organizing my pantry. So I don't have this on the list, but I have changed. I took everything out of my pantry and put it all back in an entirely different way. And when I'm getting ready to prepare a meal or I'm getting ready to, if I'm on the run, I just got to fill different things up in the fridge and replenish it. It is so fast just to go in there. I mean, I don't, I feel like I have more space and I have less time that I spend now doing those kinds of things. And I did that even in my own personal closet. I took everything out and literally just went through every single thing that I had, put it all back in, organized my jewelry, my perfumes and all that. I didn't have space in the closet before I did the organizing, but now I have this little shelf and I have 4 shelves in my closet right by the door that I just open up, and those are my go-to things. I've got my perfume in there. I got room refresher stuff in there. It's where I drop my jewelry. Getting ready and organizing my clothes. It's like it takes me like 2 minutes to pick what I'm going to wear, and I always put everything back in the same exact space I pulled it from, which is really nice. So when I do my laundry, it just goes right back in there, and I never have laundry piled up anywhere. But when you're busy, you need to do that.
I want to remind people that not only are you an interior designer, but you do staging as well. So you will find the most efficient way to get this all done. I think there's a lot of great professional organizers out there, but coming from you, this carries so much weight, because this is what you do. And you have to make sure what you do is efficient because you're always working on different projects.
Mhm. Well, and I have to this last year was all about efficiency. So I made my house, created my space around me in the warehouse, at the studio, and at home, where it was very efficient. So I wasn't wasting time looking for this or where did I put that, or having to, dig through something to get to something that I needed, because I don't have the patience for that.
Mhm.
So last year was all about that. This year's all about systems, computer systems, and streamlining the team and the processes, because we're all over the place. And it just, I don't have this heavy, weight on me anymore. It just feels like I can just grab and go, and when it
Yeah.
comes to a design job, we've got the studio all set up to where we know exactly, if we get it from the chair, we know exactly where we're going to go to get the fabrics, or where we're going to go to get the paint colors. And I'm turning my house the same way.
Systems are everything. And when you don't have them in place, you don't even look forward to doing certain tasks like that. I believe that's why people put things off, procrastinate, because like, I don't want to deal with that right now. I know it's going to be a lot of work. Well, if you had it down to a science in terms of a system, you would just get it done. Like making salad, as silly as that sounds.
Sounds silly, but
You have a system solution right there
I
that
do.
makes it easy.
And it helps also when you're doing it for yourself, when your clients have issues in their home, not issues, but just obstacles that get in the way, or distractions and things like that.
Mhm.
And so we finished a house that I don't know, about 6 months ago, but they keep calling us. They don't live here permanently. They only live here a couple times out of the year. They're getting ready in May to go back to their other home, because it'll get too hot here. So we've been going back and forth and just going to surprise them for their birthday, and just, bring in other little gifts just to go say hi. And, I asked them, well, how is everything flowing? Is there any place that we maybe missed? Is there's a gap or something, for how you work and flow and live in this space? And they'll say, oh, this has become like a little issue, which is really something so simple, because it's in her closet where we put an extra washer and dryer out. And so I went up there to look at it and talked over with my team, and I'm like, well, that's a simple fix. I said, I just did that in my own closet. I said, so I'm gonna go to the Container Store and I'm gonna go get that, and then I'm gonna come back while you guys are visiting. So I went and did that, came back, and we got it all set up. And she goes, so I've been complaining about this to my husband for 3 months now, and all it took was like a $30 item to just
Mhm.
solve my problem. But when you can really get into space and flow and how we utilize space, and especially when you have multiple people living in one space, everybody uses it differently.
Right.
So
It. Thank you for the tips today. Like it sounds, you make it fun. You make it,
it is fun.
it is like once you have a system and you get rolling, and then that feeling of just purging and things being fresh and clean, or even just walking into the living room and seeing different flowers on a table or different whatever. Best way to find you, I mean, this is just a little piece of what you offer. There's a whole design world connected to you and your team. And where do we see that?
At the excuse me, theluxurylook.com. And also, I'm all over social media. So Kristine Vowles or The Luxury Look. And we're all over. So you can find us anywhere.
Like literally, you are all over. You do stuff around the world. Not even kidding. Kristine, thank you so much for today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for your time.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.